The Mike Gallagher Show. He stands for you.
There's a lot of people out here that love you, man.
Well, God bless you.
Mike pulls no punches.
That's baloney, and you know it.
Mike Gallagher gets you thinking.
I spend many a day yelling at you over the radio. I'll probably do that again next week.
So, speak your mind. Here's the happy conservative warrior, Mike Gallagher.
Boy, do we have a good hour planned for you. I had a conversation earlier with Congressman Paul Ryan. You're going to hear that later this hour as we talk with this guy who's been described as bold, as brave, as maybe a little foolhardy, politically speaking, with this budget, which is now being likened to Reaganomics. Paul Ryan, a little bit later this hour here on the Mike Gallagher Show. Also, tonight's the movie premiere of Soul Surfer around the country. I was in New York City this week on the red carpet, along with our contest winners, Don and Marie from South Jersey, who listen to us on WNTP in Philadelphia. Soul Surfer is a really inspirational tale about a young girl who lost her arm to a shark back in Hawaii a few years ago. Now it's a movie, and we were at the movie premiere, and I found out that one of the stars of the movie, Kevin Sorbo, is a Hollywood conservative. He was Hercules and talented, acclaimed actor, and is a like-minded conservative whose views I think you're going to like. We talked to him on the red carpet, and I'll play that interview for you as well coming up here at the bottom of the hour. So busy day, but before we get into that, before we get into those interviews, I want to share with you a story that I read at worldnetdaily.com. One of America's most popular radio talk show hosts is under fire for avoiding the issue of Barack Obama's eligibility to be president. The caller to his show, Angela, said the fact of the matter is that his citizenship has been a suspicious issue from the very beginning, and not one high Republican or you has ever really tried to nail him on the issue. And if it does turn out that he is not a true citizen, then I think all of you should hang your heads in shame because of all the destruction our country has had to suffer ever since he was elected, in spite of being the fraud that we know he probably really is. Now, I had a nice visit yesterday with a guy who is anything but extremist. Very successful businessman, entrepreneur, runs a very successful business here in South Carolina, where I continue to be based in for the final week or so of the production of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the musical that I'm in. And he closed the door. He kind of put his feet up on the desk, and we started chatting about this whole birther debate. And he made the point that this caller to another radio show made, that if this turns out that Barack Obama is not a citizen, all of us who have looked the other way or said, it's not that big an issue, or there's nothing we can do about it, or it's not germane, all of us are going to be pretty ashamed, aren't we? I mean, we all understand that President Obama, for whatever reason, does not want his long-form hospital-specified birth certificate produced. There's been a short form produced, as I understand it, from factcheck.org. But it's been reported that the president has spent tons of money battling to keep his long-form hospital-specified birth certificate from being produced. And again, this business owner that I was speaking to yesterday, kind of a mild-mannered guy. I mean, he's a good guy. He's well known and beloved in the community. He was so passionate and so forceful and educated. I mean, this guy knew his facts. And he called on me and others with the kind of forum that this show presents in saying, Mike, don't turn your head. Don't turn a blind eye to this. Because what are we going to do if we find out down the road someday that this guy who wreaked so much havoc on the United States of America wasn't even eligible to be president of the United States. I don't know what he's trying to keep from the long-form birth certificate being public, but there's something. And whatever it is, it seems to me that it's not worthy of burying or sweeping under the rug. I have never discredited the so-called birthers. I have never mocked them, marginalized them, put them down. Never have I said that they don't have the right to stand up at the table and say, we want to have a peace here. We want to have this debate. We should have this conversation. We know the mainstream media isn't going to do it because we know the mainstream media advocated for Barack Obama. They want him to succeed. We know that. And it's a shame. I'll say this, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. I think it's a shame that it takes a guy like Donald Trump, who is now sending investigators to the state of Hawaii to look into the Obama birth certificate controversy. It's Donald Trump who has raised this issue most prominently, most recently. I think it's too darn bad. It has to come from Donald Trump and not somebody else. Our number is 1-800-655-MIKE. When I look into the eye of an established, successful, got his act together business executive, like the gentleman I spent time with yesterday, this is not a fringe movement. This is not some goofy fringe wingnut out to lunch movement. These are concerned citizens who say, you know what? We have a right to know. We have a right to know whether this guy is legitimately a citizen and eligible to be president of the United States or not. I think he's right. And I am not going to be accused of burying this thing. I'm not going to be accused of sweeping this issue under the rug. I want to go to my grave knowing that at least when I had a radio show, we were willing to confront this issue head on. Our toll-free number is 800-655-MIKE. We're in the RepublicMonetary.com studios. 14 past the hour. Coming up, Congressman Paul Ryan, actor Kevin Sorbo, a Hollywood conservative starring in the new movie Soul Surfer, and your voice, your call, your reaction, and your perspective about the so-called birther movement in America. That's next here on The Mike Gallagher Show. Show. We're in the RepublicMonetary.com studios, 20 minutes past the hour. A big article at WorldNet Daily about a prominent radio host slammed for avoiding the eligibility issue involving the president. The caller said not one high Republican or you has ever really tried to nail Obama on this issue. And, of course, we do know that whether you want to admit it or not, if you want to roll your eyes and say that the birther movement has no credibility, the fact is the president has resisted releasing his long-form hospital-specified birth certificate. Obama supporters like to say, oh, well, but, you know, supposedly the short-form certificate has been seen by others. Okay, what does that mean? And, of course, Lance Anderson, my producer, and I were just getting into a conversation off-air about, well, what does it mean? What does that mean then? Is he a Manchurian candidate? Is he set up by some puppet regime? Does he know he's a Muslim? Whatever. Well, that's not, I kept bringing those kind of questions up to this friend of mine yesterday, this businessman who kept saying, Mike, that's a straw man argument. It doesn't matter what, we're not asking to fill in the blanks. We're saying, what's the answer to that? We just want the truth. We want the truth. We want the solid answer to the question, is this guy eligible to be president or not? And it's fair to ask it, it's reasonable, and I am very respectful of the birther movement. Let's get your take on all of this. 800-655-MIKE. Congressman Paul Ryan talking about the GOP budget coming up a little later this hour. Grace, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. Hello.
Hello, Mike. It's so wonderful to hear your voice in New York again, honestly.
Thank you.
First of all, when Obama first came on the scene, I called him the Manchurian candidate.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. He was unbelievable. Now I believe maybe it says Muslim because, it has religion on the birth certificate. And that's what I think all this hoopla is. If
But
he
Grace,
wasn't...
I'm not sure I agree with you. I think the Manchurian candidate thing, I mean, you think how weak he is. And how easily he vacillates, and he does not seem strong. Wouldn't he be the perfect guy to have the strings pulled if he were some kind of puppet?
I feel that way. I don't who paid his money to go to Columbia and Harvard. I heard something about Percy Sutton. He's a New Yorker.
Right, I know.
So
I know about Percy Sutton.
You know what it is? There's just too many questions, and he's ruining this country. I'm a grandmother, and I'm sick.
I hear you.
All right,
I hear you.
Sick,
no,
and I'm
you.
sick with the Republicans too.
Well, don't lose faith. We got a lot of good things happening.
I'm a Tea Partier.
Yeah,
so
good
I'm
for
not.
you. God bless you. Keep the faith, Grace, and thanks for your kind words. It is great being back in New York on WOR, one of America's truly legendary radio stations. 800-655-MIKE. Peter, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. Hey, Peter.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. How
I
you?
love you. You're a great guy. You seem very decent. I love your show. Two very focused points I'd like to make if you let me in about a few seconds.
Sure.
Number one, to have to force our elected people to do the right thing it speaks volumes of their integrity. That's number one. I don't care what the long form says. I only care that this man and our Congress, our elected representatives, don't hold this man and themselves their feet to the fire. That being said, I'm also upset with my fellow American citizens that don't hold their elected representatives' feet to the fire. I espouse very, very strongly that these people cannot represent me or my family or my friends if they don't know our mind. Mike, I tell everybody that we need to get, and I'm doing this on Staten Island. I push people to force their representatives to hold regular district meetings. For crying out loud, they have their homes in our districts. Why wouldn't they want to know what their neighbors are thinking about the job? How am I doing? Oh, I'll tell you how. Remember Ed Koch? How am I doing?
How am I doing? Yeah.
All the time.
Well, but Peter, you've got a sense that's so important, and you've got a sense of accountability. And I love your spirit and your passion and the fact that you're involved enough to say, let's hold our politicians' feet to the fire. Let's expect accountability, and let's get it done. Good for you. Good for you. I'm glad you called. Thanks. Ken, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. Hey, Ken.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm listening to your show, and, I'm a Republican, but I don't know why. I understand, the validity question of whether or not Obama was born in the country and that, would give him the right to be president. But I don't understand. I mean, it seems like the Republicans are really, just trying to attack him because, we want a Republican in the office, next term. But, I really don't think the guy has done that bad of a job. I think he's
You don't think Barack Obama has done a bad job as president?
Let me ask you a question. Okay, give me the one biggest issue that you take offense with.
The economy.
Okay, so you're saying it was Obama's fault that we have the economy.
It's
where
not
we
was.
Are.
It is. It's not. You don't do it in the past tense. You got to do it in the present tense. You and I can both agree that the economy is in a complete free fall. It's a disaster. Well, let me finish. Let me finish the answer. I mean, don't just cut me off when you ask a question. I mean, by any barometer, any standard, the unemployment rate, what's happening with the spending, with the deficit, this showdown that may lead to a complete government collapse tonight or a government shutdown, you're going to absolve President Obama and his economic policies from any blame for that, Ken?
I'm not going to put it totally 100% on his shoulders. Let me ask you a follow-up question.
Sure.
The guy came into office less than 3 years ago? And you're going to tell me it's totally his fault that the economy is where it's at?
You're putting words in my mouth. What you're spinning, and you're no more a Republican, by the way, than the man in the moon. But you're spinning a tale to try to say, well, it's marginal. Let's do this in degree. This guy has spent more money with his economic blueprint increasing our debt to $13 trillion. That's not George Bush's fault, Ken. That's not one of your fellow Republicans' problem. This is his blueprint, his vision. And you can't ignore who he is and what he is. It's his own ideology. These are his own words. And to call a radio show and say, well, I'm a Republican, he hadn't done all that bad a job, and you really just can't blame him entirely. I with all due respect, I think you're an Obama loyalist, and you're trying to put your best foot forward, and it's very, very regrettable because, and thankfully, Ken, Americans are on to you and to Obama, and I think that this guy's in trouble in November of 2012. I don't think there's any way he gets reelected. Coming up, a couple of great conversations. A movie star, Kevin Sorbo, a conservative Hollywood Republican, and Paul Ryan.